Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a 2v2 for you guys today on Hell in a very small place, and I am playing with Internet Religion, also I believe known as Rara in the community. He is a captain, and we're playing against the Captain Bismarck as well as Taiwan 1994. So I'm taking a USA Moto deck because I apparently dislike myself quite a lot, and well, I've messed up my opener a bit, so I had intended to send some of these up to this section of forest. We'll see why that's important in just a second. Actually, good engagement right off the bat on the SU-27PU from Internet Religion's KWS, but not quite able to get the kill. But I mean, that was kind of good. We're fending him off, we're making sure that he has a longer time before he can get back in the action, and we did spot a little bit of AA here. That's OSA AKM, so that's immediately going to stop my Daps, my Cobra. I was hoping to get some nice engagements against their opener helicopters if they had them, but not being able to do that makes this an expensive investment that kind of goes a little bit to waste. In the meantime, getting a little bit of cooperation here from Rara and unloading on this side, trying to get the M8 AGSs shooting in. These guys, I really like these guys quite a lot. Let me know what you guys think of them in the comments, but I mean, for 55 points, it's a nice rate of fire, it's a nice AP power, nice accuracy, and stabilizer, but they're not quite heavy enough to go up against the T-72B1. So a bit of a mistake here on my part. I didn't realize it was the B1. I thought it was just the T-72B, and yeah, well, a bit heavier armor on these guys. So, meanwhile, over on the left-hand side, we have triple T-72S 120-point tanks, and this triple tank right in the section of forest is something you may recognize from a recent video where he had a Brigadier General doing this, although he was doing them with 2A4 and Ls, and yeah, it's just as effective here. Pretty brutal, and a pretty identical response as well. 2A4, 2A1's a bit heavier than we had the previous game, but I mean, that's a nice push from Red 4, and I'm desperately scrambling here, trying to keep the M8s alive and trying to fend off attacks into this forest because, well, I think he's probably noticed by now. This player, I believe, had something around 2,500 games, so a bit more experience than I do, that I'm not shooting back at him from here, although that was a nice pick on the Rangers. Wow, made my day right there, eh? Okay, so he's probably noticing that I don't have much here. I'm noticing that he doesn't have much in Bravo, so I'm getting some Navy SEALs forward, Light Riflemen forward, Rangers forward. My hope is to get these guys shooting across and deny the straight reinforcement lane to the Red 4 player. Same strategy as in the game against the Brigadier General, because honestly, this side of it worked out kind of-ish okay, and I'm hoping with a bit, hopefully, better success on the left side of the board, we might still be able to salvage it. Also, I mean, this is exactly what I want the Light Rifleman doing, shooting that OSA in the open, and anything that tries to cross here will be exposing side armor. That's at least the hope. So, combat sparring Spetsnaz grew a little bit too close to really make that a profitable engagement for me, but things on the left are going a little bit bad to worse. So we have 2A4, the 2A1 is gone, most of the infantry here is gone, leaving Martyr 2s sort of in the front line, which is never what you want. These guys are supposed to be sitting back behind and popping shots in, allowing your infantry to punch above their weight. Otherwise, they're going to get stunned, they're going to get killed. We can see the Martyr 2s being retreated back, trying to keep them out of the line of fire there. But T-72B1 from Taiwan pushing forward, and we're definitely feeling not having that hold in Foxtrot. I mean, I have Rangers, I have Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs are there to sort of outgrind their infantry, because I think I saw a couple of moat shoots and get up into the woods, but we will struggle against the T-72B1s from Taiwan, which seem to be quite a bit of a menace. So I'm trying out C2 Mexis, and I do need a bit of a correction there. This is not USA Moto, this is in fact NORAD Moto, so a couple of heavier options like the Mexis are available. I think it's the heaviest tank allowed to NORAD Moto. Seedplane also in the air, and the automatic micro from Internet was very, very nice. So nearly getting a kill, keeping the automatic alive, that's what you want to do. You don't want to do anything that will lose you that really expensive piece. So, Navy SEALs moving up. I've actually turned off their stoner, so this is something I've noticed lately. The stoner has a longer range than the AKM or the Hawk, and actually the primary even having a longer range than the Hawk MM1 is a problem as long as you're outside the woods, because if you're inside the woods, that minimum engagement range will take care of it for you, and when you attack move, you'll be in range of that frag launcher. But I didn't want them to stop in advance of the woods and shoot in from outside that position. I wanted them to get in and then try and get that gun online. Unfortunately, Rangers identified by the T-72B1 and Carl Gustav M2 isn't going to be able to pound through that frontal armor. It just doesn't have the rate of fire, so a bit of an expensive loss there. I'm trying to still learn how to keep my Rangers guns off, things like that. Just need to be passive scouting and making sure to stay alive. So, in the meantime, BRDM-3 on this side is going to get picked by Rangers, although he nearly gets by and actually does pretty badly damage my DAP here. I was a little unhappy about that, but we are able to keep him alive. And actually, seeing the damage on the DAP, I was sitting there going, okay, good thing we had some base defense, good thing we had some Rangers out here and here to block that off. Could actually use a bit heavier investment, but I don't know, taking a look back at how the game is going right now, if my Rifleman can push back the Spetsnaz, and if I can retake this forest, then we have a decent hold on this side of the board. but Golf is going to be a hard fight. Jaeger 90 are doing well, Fallschirmjäger 90 doing well, but Bismarck is a captain for a reason, and he has some things spread out here, trying to find and isolate anything that's moving up and forward, and he's actually taking the town on this side as well, which this is a death knell to taking that zone. So at this point, we were expecting the captain to go up and over onto the plateau and help against me here in Fox, which makes it very, very hard to keep either Golf or Fox alive. And losing this forest is catastrophic for the Blue Force side, but we're still alive right now and just kind of talking amongst ourselves in the chat, trying to figure out what to do to get back in this game. One of those things is going to be clearing out the last of the Spetsnaz crew, trying to keep these Spetsnaz crew as well from getting their RPG-26s online, so my Mexis is changing his route, coming up around the side, trying to see it a little bit farther back, but the V150, I mean, you know, I don't always make great decisions. And then I noticed that these B1s were spotted for a very long amount of time, longer than I expected, frankly, and so the longbow buy is out here, one, because it's scary, two, because I figured I could float around out here outside the range of any OSAs or things like that, and use that Hellfire missile on the longbow to kill the 272 B1s. After all, I have Rangers here. If there was an OSA in this section, I'd be able to see it, because I mean, I have good enough vehicle spotting, and I really should have pushed these guys up just a bit more. You can see a lot farther. I actually want to do some testing with that pretty soon, but first, shots are on the way, and that's a kill. 85-point loss there for the Soviet player, and also we're going to have a little bit of a confusing engagement here. Navy SEALs, not the best position for these guys, and I realize that sort of now, a little bit too late. But they really can't handle the armor coming in, so even if this was troop transports, you'd want something with anti-tank launchers. So I'm moving up the Riflemen and the Maw, trying to rotate the Navy SEALs back, and just hoping that there isn't a quick reaction that will prevent me from getting that pick, although also the OSA moving up is trying to screen out my longbow. Oddly enough, these guys have the same range. Fire and Forgets on the longbow, guided on the OSA, so if you can get that first shot, you might still be able to get the kill, because it's, I mean, it's just, their missile will fail trying to hit you, but it's a risky thing. T-Spoon2 S1, nice pick on the Peace Shrine, and just hoping to get out of there alive. Looks like yes for this time, and I mean, that is having a bit more success over there than either one of us really sort of expected, but it's not going to be enough on that side. So what we decided was to do a concentrated push through Fox. So we knew this was a public lobby, not a ranked 2v2, and so we knew what their decks were, and I believe Bismarck was playing with a mechanized deck, which means that it's going to be slow to rotate around, slow to respond. At least that's the hope. And if we can punch right through Fox and make use of our foothold on this side and pressure on this side, then we can potentially attack their two-pointer and use that to get us the advantage. And then even if we lose this part of Fox here, we can probably take it back if we own this sort of whole side of the map. So another interesting unit buy that I was going to try to test out today was the Lav AT. Now 40 points isn't that expensive, and they shoot twice before they reload, so it's aim, fire, reload, and two of them. That means I can get 4 missiles on the way, 60% accuracy, 20 AP power. These guys are busters of 5-point transports and things like that. Unfortunately, the Seaplane does get the automatic that time around, but I mean, you can't be lucky with that forever. Losing the Peace Run at the same time was probably because we were both trying to respond to that Seaplane there, and unfortunately no joy. So 5, maybe 6 even missiles going in, and all we do is lose the KWS. And that was a devastating 15 or so seconds for this game, probably about a 300-point swing back in favor of the Red 4 team, which we really can't afford to do. We also did get bombed over in this section, so I've lost my Rifleman, I've lost my Maw team, and that is really not a great thing. Sig-2 Mexis sparring with the B1, and I was hoping to get a kill here, but unfortunately he's going to get the first and second shot off, and I lose the Mexis against that B1. Equivalent point tanks, and I thought he was already injured, but he had optics on me, I didn't have optics on him. Actually, the reason for that's kind of funny. I believe there were... no, we cleared him out. Yeah. For a while, there was some recon infantry up in this section of woods, but yeah, we were able to finally get that kill. In the meantime, Navy SEALs pushing up, Riflemen pushing up. We did also get the BMPT because I do have the longbow circling, and we also have light riflemen sort of really just using that intermediate range. I only wish they were ATGM infantry, but of course USA and I believe NORAD doesn't really get access to that. Big weakness of the faction, honestly. That's a really hard thing to overcome. But the M8's moving up and taking out that OSA, and really just, I mean, I've got a lot more use out of recon here than I ever expected. T-Spoon2 B1's trying to get the kill, does get the kill, but we got 2 shots off and he's down to 1 strength. So the M8 AGS, this is why I love that high rate of fire. 13 rounds a minute, it's enough to get those kills and enough to keep the pressure moving. He lost 85 points, I lost 55. That's a 30-point swing back in my favor if I can keep that going. So, I mean, that works for me, honestly. That really does work for me pretty well. So we have quite a bit left to go, so I'm going to speed up here just a little bit. And the idea with the Block 52 was just to sort of screen out most of their stuff, but seeing the Neva SC there is going to make me reconsider that just a bit. There's also a PU that gets called out in response, so I'm sitting there going, okay, between their radar AA and the PU, I don't want to do anything here. And so that was a nice call out from Taiwan, seeing my ASF, knowing what I was trying to do, and then countering it very, very well. There was also a lot of pressure from Taiwan right in the center. Spetsnaz grew, Motostrelki 90, and the BTR 90s were brutal. The AGS-17 frag launchers mulching my infantry and Internet Religion's infantry up on the high ground, which was not something I expected. I'm calling out some AGSs, trying to sort of stem the bleed there, and also getting a couple of mortars online, but not quite the best accuracy. And I was trying to damage the infantry while they're in the open, but not quite able to do it. And, I mean, Navy SEALs will do decently well for themselves here against the GRU, but, I mean, geez, we had 3-4 strength when we really engaged there. They had 20. So we took a good tax on them, but it wasn't quite enough to really kill anything, unfortunately. So the Lav AT is moving up, more reinforcements moving up this way, longbow trying to screen things around, and BTR 90s are expensive. They're 30 points apiece. You have to sort of keep them alive because that's a 60-point loss. It's basically the same as losing a BMPT. And I'm definitely sort of wanting to capitalize on that while they're in the open on the high ground here. So we get one, Ripple Fire, trying to get the second, maybe not strictly worth it because of the high expense of the longbow and the supply expense of those Hellfires. But I don't know, I was happy with it. I think situational utility is something that you have to keep in mind as well. In that situation, I did not want the BTR 90s up here. That would have made life really difficult retaking that zone in ways that I really didn't need to have to deal with at the time. So another plane coming in, 24M, looking probably for the Dragoner. We'll see those bombs dropping, and this guy got a fair number of kills for Taiwan there, and just beautiful pancaking those infantry, all 3 of them dead. Kind of wish he hadn't, but I mean, it was just strictly a good play, I think. I also did lose my Heavy Hog and the Block 52, so they've really been killing us in the air, and at this point in the game, I was feeling a little bit not optimistic, shall we say. It looked like Bismarck was finally getting ready for a push, because we haven't really seen much movement out of him for a while, so I thought this is sort of going, okay, he's going around, he's getting his boxes forward, his Mochitsen forward, he's getting his Snezka around here, we need to guard this side. Really nothing standing between him and Echo pretty much at all. I mean, the Tiger is back with a fuel leak, the DAP is here, it has decent enough optics, but really can't handle anything on the ground, and my MA AGSs are just trying to do something out of sheer desperation. By the way, killed the K-52 with the DAP, I love these things, we did trade, but, I mean, DAPs are just amazing. Stingers have wonderful, wonderful accuracy. We did also pop the M8s over the ridge, get a couple of nice kills, and then back out. And this was just strictly to be a nuisance against Bismarck. So I knew with the fast fire rate, we'd be able to get some sort of thing. And he actually goes chasing. These are probably the most hero M8s I've ever used. So we popped over the ridge, I believe got a kill on anti-air. And then, yeah, I mean, we lose one against the B1, but watch this. One shot, down to 4 strength, getting shot at on the side by, I believe, Spetsnaz Guru, still get the kill. So that's an 85-point tank kill as well, in addition to the AA, in addition to the Motostrelki, and, I mean, you know, more Motostrelki there, and they just clear out the entire section. I had full health. I mean, panicked, yeah, but wow, these guys are just, they're impactful. They feel, they play to me as better versions of Ruakans. That's honestly how they feel, and it hurts me to say because I do enjoy some South Africa motorized, and Ruakans are definitely very good. In fact, they're quite a bit faster than these guys, who are still mechanized speed, but trading the mechanized speed for the little bit better stats seems to be really good. Now, I did lose my longbow there. I was alive for a record time for me, about 10-12 minutes in this game. I usually tend to be a little impetuous with them. So I'll take the improvement that I can get, even though it was sort of a little bit less than ideal. Quad stack of Igla ends will do that to you, though. So, nice up close. Infrared AA that I couldn't really see. And they have Cap Fox. That is going to be a +1 ticking for the Red 4 team. We're answering with the Lav C2. Probably in the world's most predictable position, though. So I was expecting this to get bombed any time, and quickly too. And we've been stretched so far apart that we haven't been able to get that central push going. So I did bring up M8s for it, but they had to respond to other things. We were getting pushed on the left-hand side, bombed again here, but a little bit lucky this time that my light riflemen were far enough over to survive. This was intentional. I wanted them sort of as far split apart as I could get, with some sort of firing in on that position. And I mean, if we can kill a Spetsnaz Guru, it's almost like, honestly, we spent about 10 minutes not really doing much, because Foxtrot is still, I mean, it's counter-cap now, but it's still neutral. And then Golf we lost, but we'd already sort of lost Golf. And this is why I brought up the Lav ATs. Just watch this. MCTM, MTLBVs from Bismarck. He's bringing in reinforcements to try and help his ally here on the other side of the bridge, and the Lav ATs are just letting him have it. Each one of these, yeah, they're 5-point boxes, but I believe what was inside here was some Mochitsen 90, and even potentially some Spetsnaz Gru. I think the first two are Spetsnaz Gru, the next three were more much to 90. So this was a really expensive toll. And watch this. Two of them inside the same explosion radius, down they go. And yeah, I lose the Lav ATs, but we got about 140 points worth of kills in return for that. Yeah, so I was very happy. And we are unfortunately not able to tag the planes, but still, I mean, just the sheer points advantage there was very nice. And then the positional, because my light riflemen and damaged Maw would not have been able to fend off those infantry. And the next thing I know, they'd be pushing through the woods here. Instead, we held the position very, very succinctly. And I mean, just beautiful, beautiful work there from those 40-point vehicles. I think often get a little bit overlooked, but I mean, in a faction that doesn't really have a good ATGM option, you have to make do, and that was me making do. It's something everybody who fights against USA and NORAD with more than maybe 50, 60 games of experience is going to know that they don't have ATGMs, and so they won't expect that sort of long-range fire, and yet we gave it to them. And that was the thing that definitely hurt. So, because we've been losing so much in the air, I'm bringing out a Patriot. We're just going to try to get some sort of anti-air more forward to screen off their units. I mean, we've lost the ASF fight, that's just a reality of it, but we have to adapt and do something, or it's going to end up being another 20 minutes of hanging on the knife's edge of having this tip against us. And if they keep it +1 for 22 minutes, we lose. So if they bomb the Lab C2, if they, I don't know, if they push us into Echo and all that, and this was an interesting thing. The 2A1 was spotted. I'm still not really sure how. So let's take a look there at... Okay, so there's a Snezka, and it was really... I mean, it was that close. So I'm actually smoking Internet Religion's tank there while he moves it back because it was spotted for a little bit, and that was... I mean, that's a nice way for 2A1 to get killed by something, especially when they have air dominance. So we have gotten now the M8s up, Riflemen up, more in Humvees, Comvats, M8 AGS there, V150, and we're getting toward the point where I kind of felt like we can sit here for longer or we can go, and we may as well just go. I mean, there's Martyr 2s around this side, 2A4 from Rara, or Internet Religion rather, and a couple of M41A1s being called out, a couple more reinforcements from me as well, but I mean, there's never a right time until after the game when you see, oh hey, that was the right time. So what I've done is I've split my mortars. We're building a smoke wall here, 1, 2, 3 initial positions, and then each one given a couple of shift Q orders here for smoking, just trying to build a whole big wall out ahead of this push. And even then it might not be enough, but I want close engagement ranges for the M8s. I want them to be able to use their guns with all the additional AP that they can, because their frontal armor is not good enough to handle those knife fights otherwise. Big plane coming in here, and I think that was a bomber, I'm not really entirely sure, and we have started the push. So I do lose a Humvee right off the bat, and that told me there's a heavy tank there I can't see. I don't quite have enough recon in the front of this push, so my ranger's a little off to the side, but, I mean, we do spot them. It's just, that's sort of what I was talking about. A single T-72B can kill one of my AGSs very, very easily, and there's the return of the bomber. Here it comes. Bit of a swing and a whiff there, honestly. I think he took out a single Humvee with it, and we are able to get up and forward, and all I want from this is their command vehicle. Unfortunately, Bismarck has answered as well. 40-point tanks, but also a 120-point tank back here. I don't have the guns for that. I really don't. But I am hopefully going to be able to screen for the 2A4 that can get in here instead while he's shooting at riflemen maybe. My combat's moving back in order to make sure that they're there to roadblock, and the Ranger's coming around to see if we can get a little bit better recon. Here's the first shot. Down goes that heavy tank, and that's exactly what we wanted out of that 2A4. So very nice job from Rara getting that. We also do spot an OSA and some light micro on the Patriot. It's going to be able to take a swing. Taiwan, I think, should have immediately evac'd this because he's going around for a second rotation because he didn't get hit, and he's looking for the Patriot, but I've already turned the gun off. So that's really not going to get you anywhere. Then I'm just going to turn it on again or not, and either way, it's going to be a bad day for that seed plane, although he might have also just been trying to cover the SU-24M, and yeah, he was really good with those things, honestly. That was a little bit terrifying to deal with. But it still wasn't able to get either the automatic or my Patriot, as I have moved them up and we are going to be resupplying, as well as potentially bringing another more M8 AGSs. Yeah, I'm leaning on them a bit hard as a crutch here. I didn't really know what else to bring out. In hindsight, probably just more recon infantry. That would have been very nice. But 27M looking for the 2A4, I think evac order, not quite able to get the angle, and we do also spot their command vehicle right there as the automatic takes a couple of pot shots. I love that unit, honestly. It's anti-everything. Longbow gets the kill, down goes Foxtrot, and we're back to a +1 with 18 minutes maximum left in the game, more like about 7 minutes or so left in the actual replay, and that won't quite take the full time because we will speed things up here just a little. There were also a couple of units over on the left. We'll return to that here in a second because it was kind of fun and worth watching. Rifleman 90, I mean, it's a damaged Snezka. It's 30 points right there. That's no longer really truly combat ready, and if we can get him with the second volley, I'll be a happy man. Gonna be a close run thing, but we do get him right before he turns into the woods. Mi-35, and I was hoping to handle that with the combats, but I didn't expect to see a T-72 over here, and even then, I mean, it's okay, it's decent accuracy, but they get distracted by Monostrelchi instead of shooting at the Mi-35. Now we're going to be taking direct fire, as well as the ATGMs potentially from that Mi-35, and yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a bad engagement. If I'd been shooting at the Mi-35 earlier, we might have been able to get the kill. Longbow moving up just sort of screened that out, in case he had a more expensive one, like the 120 pointer over here from Bismarck, and I don't know, just light area denial. I wish I had another DAP, by the way, but I think my only one remaining is over here, and he's over there for a reason, and that's to deny any sort of move into that section. There were also Führungstrupp spotted from Bismarck. They're trying to recap this zone, trying to keep us from getting that +1. That does, of course, make victory all that much harder for the Red 14 to inch out here in this game. I'm bringing up a couple of Wolverines, just a fast response, trying to get that Mi-35, and frankly, I was running out of other sort of options. The Patriots, you only get 2 of them, and they're not really great for anti-helo work, and there is another BRDM-3 coming around. I mean, it's classic. When you start losing this game, you start throwing more things around the sides. It's arguably cheap, but I don't think so. I think it's just practical. Like, if you failed doing things the traditional way, you can keep ramming your head against the wall, or you can try and adapt. And if you adapt successfully, then you can win. And if you don't, then maybe not so much. And you can definitely see the lack of anti-air here, as that Mi-35 just having a bit of a field day, opening up on my Humvees. Yeah, not really the most valuable target, and they do have to be aware of that Martyr too. That is part of what makes these guys so good, the Beauforts. Man, I really wish I could have seen these guys pre-nerf. Now, unfortunately, they did get the infantry in. I was trying to kill them with the mortars there to intercept their path, but I didn't quite guess that correctly. And here comes the Mi-24D on this side, probably a unit carrier, by the way. So we expected to see this in the air and a couple of things on the ground. Fallschirmjäger 90 are able to get a couple of shots away, but he had enough momentum, it's going to carry him over. And if he even spots the Führungsgruppe over here, that's going to be potentially enough to allow him to call in the bomber, get around our side, take out our +2, and return the favor, as we have killed their +2 zone now, ticking at +3, and the Wolverines are able to take it out with 1-2 punches before even the DAP was able to get in range. I mean, that's the only sort of drawback to these guys. The Stinger's relatively short range, but the Wolverines, 2450, and they shoot pretty quick. 2 of them in a group tends to do decently well against singular helicopters. Maybe not more than that, but singular helicopters, certainly, it's a good option. So with this sort of uncapped, I'm getting more pivots up. We're also going to be trying to cap Charlie for ourselves. +4 now, as Golf has been called back. And this is something, just a brief complaint. At this point in time, Bismarck, I think, was sort of flaming us in the chat for teaming him up with a noob. And again, Taiwan is not a noob. He had 2,500 or so games, if not more. And yeah, Bismarck is just pulling everything back. So he'd given up, and that's really going to be the end of the game. So what I do want to say about this is just, it kind of ruins the experience for everybody, because we had a good game up to this point. We had some losses in golf. We were able to make up for it with some good strategy later on, and it felt really, really nice. And then just to get flamed out in the comments to have somebody just actively give up on the game, not even surrender, just actively giving up on the entire game, it's a bit of a mood killer, and that's not really what I'm here for, and I don't think that's what most people are here for either. So yeah, well, that's going to be all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around. We'll see you again real soon.